Okay, so let's tackle a huge question, one that's really at the heart of this whole AI revolution. When you're talking to something like ChatGPT, does it actually get you? Does it understand? Or is something else going on completely?
I mean, first, you just have to step back and admit how incredible these large language models, these LLMs, really are. Their performance is just spectacular. They can write poetry, they can ace exams, they can even code for you. On the surface, it looks and feels so much like real intelligence.
And that brings us right to the core of it, and it's based on this really fascinating paper by researcher Sergio Torres Martinez. Is this amazing performance the same thing as genuine human-like understanding? Or are we kind of being fooled by a very, very sophisticated illusion?
To even begin to answer that, we have to understand what the paper calls the AI language illusion. The argument is that we're making a pretty fundamental mistake. We're confusing the AI's incredible ability with words for actual intelligent agency.
Now, what's so interesting here is the key distinction this slide makes. For an AI, language is all about completing a task. You give it a prompt, and it finds statistically likely patterns to give you an answer. But for us, for humans, language is a tool for survival. It's about purposefully adjusting to the world around us. And those are two totally different ballgames.
So this brings us to the whole biological purpose of language. For us, it's not just some party trick to pass an exam. It's a critical tool that evolved, literally, to help keep us alive.
The paper introduces this just brilliant concept called the self as symbol. And think of it like this. We use language to build a mental story of who we are in the world. This internal narrative helps us figure out what to do, how to navigate all the uncertainty, and, at the end of the day, how to keep going.
So what this means is that every word we use is connected to this deep biological need to survive. It's all shaped by our memories and our constant need to adapt. An AI doesn't have a body. It has no biological fitness to worry about, no self it's trying to preserve. It's just processing a prompt.
All right, so this leads us to the fundamental difference in how an AI knows language versus how a human does. And as you're about to see, the difference is really night and day.
And this just illustrates that contrast perfectly. The LLM, it's a disembodied prediction machine. Its entire job is to calculate the next most probable word. A human, though, is a biological agent. Our knowledge is grounded in what's called embodied cognition, that lived physical experience of actually being in the world.
You know, when ChatGPT writes a sentence, it's following a purely mathematical process, as you can see right here. It starts by breaking your sentence into little pieces called tokens. Then it turns each token into a complex math equation, a vector. The transformer part then figures out which parts of the input are most important. And based on all that math, it predicts the most likely next piece. Then it just stitches them all back together into a sentence. It's an incredible piece of engineering for sure, but it is totally detached from meaning.
Our process couldn't be more different. The source suggests we build our ideas in layers. We start with these core concepts that are basically hardwired instincts. Then we build on top of that through direct interaction with the world, and finally, we expand on all of it based on our actions and our experiences.
Now, what's really interesting is how just a single sentence can expose this huge difference. Let's take this example from the paper.
Okay, so when we hear the word slither, our brain creates this rich, almost sensory reconstruction. We pull on our embodied knowledge of what it means to slither. The shape, the texture, the movement. We can almost feel the meaning because it's connected to our physical understanding of the world.
But for the LLM, slithered is just a high probability word to put after car silently. It's seen that pattern in its training data, maybe in a spy novel or something, but it has absolutely zero connection to the physical act of slithering. It's a statistical echo, not a concept it actually understands.
Okay, so let's take this one step deeper. Let's see how all of this connects to the very idea of consciousness itself. The source brings up this really powerful theory called active inference. The idea here is that our brains are prediction machines, but they're not predicting words. They're predicting the world in order to reduce surprise and stay alive. This right here is the biological engine of consciousness.
So what this all means is that human consciousness isn't a passive thing. It's an active, four-part process. We're constantly perceiving, integrating, intending, and modeling our own self within the world. This is what it means to be an agent, not just a performer.
So, what does all this mean for us as we live alongside these increasingly powerful AI systems? Where do we go from here? Well, first, we have to be really aware of our own automation bias. It's this tendency we have to believe in AI's output just because it sounds so convincing, so human. We start thinking it's aware or sentient.
But as the source points out, the AI's politeness isn't some intrinsic quality. It's a feature that was programmed in by humans.
But, and this is a big one, the paper doesn't completely close the door on the future. It actually anticipates that one day, new forms of silicon-based AI, what it calls in silico conceptualizers, could emerge that are actually able to define their own goals and build their own version of a self.
And this leaves us with a truly mind-bending final thought. We've pretty much established that today's AI doesn't understand. But if a future AI learns to build its own self as symbol, its own reason for being, what will that conversation even look like? And what will that mean for us